So tonight we have a wonderful author, paranormal romance author, by the name of Amanda Yule, and it's UHL, but pronounced Yule, correct?
That is correct. Very good.
Fix my. So I know that I'm just going to do my little announcement as well. I've been doing this now. I am S.K. Andrews, author of the Kelly Society books. And I wanted to do this platform to interview other paranormal fiction authors and paranormal romance authors to have some fun and to talk about our paranormal fiction. So I am going to read off Amanda's bio and the blurb for one of her wonderful books. All right. Amanda Yule is an award-winning author and has always had a fascination with the mystical. Having drawn her first breath in a century home rumored to be haunted, you might say she was born into it. After a brief stint in college as a paid psychic, you might say, Amanda graduated with a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Theater and a master's degree in marketing. Over the past 20 years, she has worked as an admissions representative, a graphic designer, owned her own freelance writing company, and managed communications for several Fortune 500 companies. Most recently, specializing in cybersecurity and data. Amanda is an avid reader and writes fast-paced paranormal romance, suspense, and humorous contemporary romance from her home in Cleveland, Ohio. When she's not reading or writing, you can find Amanda with her husband and 3 children gathering beach glass on the Lake Erie shoreline or biking in
Cuyahoga.
Cuyahoga Valley National Park. I was going to attempt it, but I'm glad you jumped in. So forgive me, I have a little fan on the side here because it's starting to get warm in the Hudson Valley, New York, but not quite ready for an air conditioning yet. So we're in between. So if you see my hood flying, it's because of a fan. Okay. I'm very real on this show. I like to talk about everything. So, excuse me. On April 27th, 2023, a new book came out called Healing Kiss by Amanda Yule. And this is what that book is about. To save her dying sister, Lillian Milano channels energy from the healthy to heal the sick, which makes her an incredible nurse. But her gifts puts Lillian and those who she loves in danger from an organization that will stop at nothing to exploit her talent. When her sister becomes gravely ill, wealthy computer genius Tristan King is the one man with enough vitality to save her sister's life. But being near him threatens to expose her secrets and destroy the walls she's built around her heart. She bargains with a billionaire. Tristan doesn't believe in the supernatural and is wary of emotional entanglements. But his beloved mother is dying, and his lying ex-fiancée won't leave him alone. So he strikes a deal. In exchange for his help, Lillian must pose as his date at a hospital fundraiser. As the pair work together to save their loved ones, they confront a spiraling web of secrets that threatens their growing feelings for each other. The choices they make will either destroy their lives or heal their hearts. I love that. Now I want to read that. Absolutely. So we're going to talk more about that, of course, with Amanda. But right now, I want to share we have Spooky Mug Time, which started with the very first YouTube show because one of the authors, one of her favorite things was salted caramel coffee. So I thought, oh, I should have my coffee at the same time because it was in the morning. So ever since then, we shared mugs. Okay, so I might have shared this before, but it's my niece gave me this. Lunch disappears from the office fridge. I hope you like apples. So I'll keep it on the which one for the rest of the interview here because that's the spooky side. So what have you got, Amanda?
The farthest thing from spooky
That's okay.
I should have thought of that because we're talking about paranormal, but
Oh,
this is a giant sunflower mug that my daughter made. And
oh my
I thought,
gosh.
what a nice mug to bring to this
Oh,
occasion.
that is wonderful. And it's the end of spring, beginning of summer. It's perfect, right? It's absolutely
Right.
perfect. So I hope you don't mind. I would love to see the poster behind you. This is one of your
Oh,
books as well, right?
sure. So I said, you said in that nice, lovely introduction that I write both paranormal, and that one there is a paranormal, and I also write contemporary romantic comedies. So that is my contemporary. Um,
Those are
those aren't. I
gorgeous.
only have room for two books on the wall,
Yeah.
so I change it up periodically just to have a different cover sometimes whenever I introduce a new book. So very soon I'll be putting
Yes.
Healing Kiss in there. It's
Oh,
not there yet.
those are just gorgeous. I love them. So let me begin with our first question of the interview. What is it about the paranormal realm that inspires you to write in that genre?
Well, as I like to say, I write paranormal because I'm a little bit paranormal myself. And what I mean by that, I call it my hidden talent. As you said in that when you read the little bio, I was a psychic in college and have some
Yes.
kind of background in that. But ever since I was very young, I have been, I would say, attracted to, and then it seemed to be attracted to me, the mystical.
Oh,
And I've had many, many experiences over a lifetime. Um, and
that'll be the next question.
many experiences over a lifetime, very unique and different ones.
Wow.
You know, I am very
Yeah.
intuitive, always have been, and I call it a hidden talent because I could do it for a living if I chose to do it. And that's what I
Yes.
experimented with in college. But I decided that paranormal stuff makes really great fiction. It's
Yes.
fodder for your fiction, your novels. And I have firsthand experience. So a lot of people, when they read my paranormals, they're not your typical paranormal. They don't feature fantastical creatures. They are real
Yeah.
people with
Yeah.
abilities. And that's because I'm a real person and have had these experiences that I can draw on. So the character in Healing Kiss, the book that you mentioned, she has the ability to heal because her DNA, her mother's DNA was experimented on, and then she inherited some of the gift. But
Okay.
I actually really had a healing experience. And so I was able to draw on that experience. And many readers might not realize that when they're reading the book, but it was a real experience that I used to write the scene. So
that is amazing. And yeah, like you said, you have this background. Do you mind if I ask for a minute? Let me finally, okay, good. I'm finally done with that. When you were in college and you, I mean, worked as a psychic for part of it, did you just start to, did you have a feeling about someone and they asked you a question and then they referred someone else to you, or?
well, I from a very young age, when I was about 6, as the earliest I remember, I had experiences. And most of the time when I was young, it just seemed like fun and games. But very quickly in school, other kids realized that I, seemed to have some knack for this. And a lot of things that I said came true, is what happened. And that
Oh,
kind of
okay.
scared me, actually. And so I quit
Yeah.
doing things that would would bring that on. The way it worked for me and how I honed, it's like any skill. You have a knack for it, and then
Yeah.
you do it all the time and you hone the ability. But
Right.
what's interesting with the psychic is it's like a light switch. So when you turn the light on, it's like a light switch that you can't turn back off. Turn it
Oh, right.
on and then it's on forevermore. And that's what happened at a very young age. I think I flicked that switch on. And so although I don't really do it now, but there was a time in my life when I was in college where I just gained a reputation. I
Oh,
had
okay.
things happen, many things, some things you wouldn't consider psychic. For instance, I was a theater major in college, and we had to do scenes to relax to meditate as part of theater. And the person I did this with went into a trance. And
Oh,
I
wow.
hypnotized this person doing
Yeah.
so that's not really a traditional psychic thing, but
Yeah.
I just have the knack for that sort of
Yeah.
thing. And it follows me everywhere I go. And so,
Wow.
it's kind of scary in a way to me.
Yeah.
I really don't want that to be my life. And I don't like the responsibility of it either, because
It is a choice, isn't it? It's a choice.
it definitely is a choice. And I
Yeah.
also think people, you can really, I don't like the responsibility, because people hang on what you say, that, and then I feel like
No.
they're gonna like want to listen to everything. And I it's not an exact science. It's an intuitive. I
Right.
call it a strong intuition. I have a strong
Yes.
intuition, and
Yes.
so anyway, so that's how. Yeah, I never had an issue when I don't really. It's funny because I talk about it with the books, because it's a good it helps people understand why would I write paranormal, but I really don't talk about it. I work a full-time professional job. Other than writing, I also have a full-time job where I manage a creative team for a very large company. And
Okay.
so I have a lot going on, and I can't
Yeah.
really think about it, but I still
Yeah.
have many, many things happen. And like I said, it's like that light switch that you can't
Right.
cut off. So be very careful.
Yeah,
Anybody listening to this
exactly.
interview, if you don't want that, be very
Nah.
careful what you do.
Um, Also, yeah, you can kind of channel your experiences and stuff through your writing, right?
I love that aspect
Yeah.
of it, because so much of when you watch something or you read something that's paranormal, it's very dramatized.
Yeah.
Um, and that's fun, right? To get carried away with it and think what could happen.
Right.
So that's what's fun about it. In the fiction, the world of fiction, you can make anything happen, and I can kind of
Yeah.
take something that's real and then make it even more dramatic, and that's kind of fun.
Oh, exactly. Exactly. So, I've got to ask you, do you have a favorite paranormal movie or TV show now or when growing up?
um that's a good question, because I'm not a huge TV watcher. I probably watch more now than I ever have.
Oh, yeah.
I've watched The Ghost Whisperer. I
Oh,
kind of,
yeah.
I mean, I think that's total fantasy, fantastical, meaning I don't really think people they see them standing there and having conversations. I think it's just like every other paranormal experience. There's a little bit of truth in it, and then it can be over dramatized. But I enjoyed the show's actually kind of a fun show to watch.
Yeah.
So maybe that is a good one. But I've watched True Blood. I've read all
Oh,
those
me
books,
too.
all the True Blood books. That's a really good,
Yeah.
little bit racy, but really good,
Yeah.
fun series. I actually really
Yeah.
enjoyed the books by Christine Harris. So yeah. So I should turn this, I would love to turn this around, but do you have a favorite paranormal movie
Oh,
series that you watch?
right now it's all Stranger Things, Stranger Things.
Oh
And I
yeah.
completely stand with the Writers Guild of America, WGA, their strike. I completely stand with them. I've been reading the updates every day, even though I'm not in the biz that way yet, but I'm just saturating myself with it. And that's why I want to start this show. I'm like, I'm not going to I'm writing books. Yeah, of course, but I have my day job too. And I'm like, what else can I do? I just want to get out there and, I don't care if there's one subscriber or a million. I'm just going to do my show. Anyway, how
Oh,
did we get on this?
totally.
No, no. So no, what I want to say is I stand with WGA, but the filming of Stranger Things season 5 is now delayed, and I'm very sad. But
Oh.
anyway, but no, they can't do this for too long. I mean, come on, we're going to run out of. Everyone's going to be in an uproar if there's no more movies or TV. They're going to run out of stuff eventually. So no, Stranger Things, and I loved Bewitched. I love
Oh, that's
Bewitched.
nice.
I mean, I know that goes way back, but hey, I go way back. So,
Have you seen Lucifer? That's another great one that I
oh,
really enjoy.
Lucifer is fabulous.
Yeah.
Yeah, and all the actors, especially Lucifer.
Yeah.
Just, I mean, who would think that you would have compassion for the devil?
I know. It's
But the
kind
way he
of,
plays it
yeah.
is just so different.
Mhm.
So here we go, Amanda. Here we go. Have you ever seen a ghost or experienced something strange?
Well, I'll tell you my first ghostly experience that I had. I was I said 5 or 6, somewhere around that age. I have a very large family. I grew up I was born actually in a house that was 100 years old when I was born. It's still standing today. My dad still lives there. So it's about 150 years old now. And so I was born in that house. And so I was playing out in the backyard with my brother and sister. And I said, somebody was telling, an older brother or sister was talking about how you could bring a ghost home as a pet or something.
Oh,
and
no.
I thought that was,
Oh, no.
I thought that was the most amazing thing as a child.
Oh,
And
my
I
goodness.
screamed out,
Yeah.
I want to see a ghost at the top of my lungs. And
Uh-oh.
a UFO came from the top of my house and went right by my nose. And I was in shock as a child. I said, that's a UFO. Where'd it come from? And went off into the distance. And I said to everybody, of course, we're all kids running around. I said, did you see that? And everybody was like, well, no, they were doing their own thing. Nobody else saw it. And I talked about that story for years. As the time I actually saw a UFO until I was much older in college, and somebody told me about ghost orbs. And then I thought, what a silly child. I said I wanted to see a ghost. A ghost came from the top of the house, and it came as a spinning disc, like it looked like, but it said boo. It went right by my nose.
Oh my gosh.
That was my first memory, and I never it didn't scare me. I thought it was a UFO. I thought it was just some fun thing as a kid, you know.
So good thing you weren't scared. Yeah. But that's amazing. It's like, what do they say? Be careful what you wish for. Right.
Yes. And that's what I want to get across a little bit, is that sometimes I thought, well, maybe I made this happen, because I was kind of interested. I want to see a ghost, I said.
Yeah.
Open
the door.
And then years later, I've come to terms and realized it's a little bit of both. I was very interested and open to it. And also I had a natural inclination for that sort of thing. So the two things kind of go hand in hand, I think.
That is so great. I love it. It's it's wonderful that just kind of manifests something, because kids, they don't think, oh, is this going to be wrong? Or is this, they'll just go out and say, oh, I'm going to do this, So,
and the fact that I didn't know what I saw.
Yeah.
And didn't know what I saw, just like you as a kid would,
Right.
So
I love that. So, have to ask, any advice for aspiring writers? Maybe someone trying to get published or finish their first manuscript or something.
Yeah, so I wear a thing around. I don't have it on tonight, as a matter of fact, but I normally have this on quite a bit. It's a bracelet, and it has my little mantra, which is creativity takes courage, don't give up. That's what I tell myself, because it is a long journey. And whenever I go into a bookstore and I see the gazillions of books, all the new ones out, and it changes constantly, you just realize what a challenge it is to be heard. Even if you could be the most fantastical writer ever, but it still would be a challenge to get your book, for somebody to sign your book and to get it in a bookstore and all of that. So, so my advice is, number one, have faith and confidence in yourself, because nobody else is gonna. You have to have that. I'm guessing every published writer can relate to this, because to get to the point of publishing something, you have to have a lot of confidence and willingness to allow yourself to go to try this thing. So that would be my one thing. And then very practically, my second thing would be, what was my second thing? I have so much writer advice buzzing around in my brain. Sometimes I say to myself, for me, the writing thing happened very fast. I had been writing in the corporate world for a long, long time. So I had all this experience writing, not fiction, different kinds of things, but I had to, on deadlines and constantly writing articles and turning things around and doing marketing brochures. All of that experience, when I turned my attention to writing fiction, came in handy. And what happened was, the book that I wrote, my very first effort, is the first book that got published. And but it took a year of pitching it. but everybody told me, oh, that's really fast. And I didn't know what I was getting myself into. So
Yeah.
my advice is for a new author is take your time. Do not be in a rush, because once your book is out there, you have a business, and it's a total different.
Yes.
The creativity takes a backseat. I mean, yeah, you got to write, you got to find time, but now you got to market it. And that is a lot of, I mean, I enjoy marketing, but it's still a lot. And then you have very little time to write. So,
Yes.
so that's my advice. My advice is take
Exactly.
time.
Yes, indeed. And when you still have the day job, like I'm an example, and believe me, I'm not bitching. I am grateful every day that I have 2 books published with Wild Rose Press. My posters are much smaller, but they're up there. Anyway, I just printed out a thing like this. You'll have to tell me how you get them big like that, you know.
Yeah, I can share. I will share mine.
Yeah, send me an email. But
Sure.
I'm in a front desk, so I can't look at my phone and send Instagram or Facebook or this and that and this and that, like, oh, here's my book, here's my book. So I would have to prepare it the night before or this and that and put them out early in the morning, because I'm out there in the front desk and I can't be on my phone all day, you know. I mean,
Yeah,
sometimes when you're in a back cubicle, you can take a few minutes or something, you know, if your boss walks by, oh, hi, you know. But
right.
you know, I mean, there's a lot of other jobs like that too. So it's just finding those little cubby holes of time to do your social media and this and that, and you know, or get ready. Have to prepare if you're a guest on someone else's blog. You have to prepare stuff. You sent me some stuff that I read when we started this, but I try to keep this one simple, you know, just fun. But yeah, it's a quite a thing to do the marketing of you. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So uh this is sort of a new one I kind of threw in there. But what advice would you give to writers or well, paranormal creators? I asked that of podcasters and stuff like that, but you know, like fiction writers, when it comes to naysayers around them, or you know, I mean, sometimes it's friends or family. I know it's kind of a personal thing, but you know, to kind of keep themselves going when there's people saying like, oh, you know, you're not going to do it right, or
It's very difficult, and there will be naysayers.
they're always
Um,
there.
I guess, you know, what I said at the beginning, creativity takes courage. Don't give up. You have to be your biggest cheerleader, and you really do have to, and, you know, you have to enjoy it too. I remind myself of this a lot as a writer, is that it's the journey. This is fun.
Yeah.
This right here is fun. I enjoy it. I'm getting to meet you. I'm getting to talk to people, talk about myself. What could, you know, that's fun. So
Yeah.
I try to enjoy the journey and not worry so much about, and this is difficult and it's a challenge, but I try not to worry so much about what other people think. And
Right.
that's a hurdle, actually, as a new writer, that I think, again, I'm sure you can relate to this. You have to get over that. Sharing your work with other people,
Yeah.
having people criticize it. You will grow as a writer. You will continue to get better as a writer. Everybody does. Everybody just gets better and better and better. That's what happens.
Yes.
And so, you know, the goal, whatever your goal is, for me, it's always changing. You know, it
Oh yeah.
started out, I just wanted to finish a book. That was goal number one.
Yeah.
And then I did
That's the
that.
first thing.
Then I wanted to find an editor and
Yeah.
a publisher. And then I found Wild Rose, and that happened. Actually, I found Wild
Yeah.
Rose and Burroughs. I had 2 publishers. And then
Nice.
and then after that, then I wanted an agent, and I did sign with an agent. What I don't have, what I'm working towards next, is to get that big publisher so that my book would be more broadly available in bookstores. So that's kind of
Right.
been my journey. I know other authors that, you know, their journey was totally different. Maybe they won a big contest or something, and
Yeah.
you know, advanced their career, or maybe they wrote 20 books that never saw the light of day, you know. So, and
Yeah.
to build their skill up. But the bottom line is that you just continue to get better, and you have to have a lot of faith and enjoy the journey, and not worry so much about what the naysayers have to say, because this isn't about them. It's about you and what you have to offer to the world, you know.
That's a good one. I love that. Yeah, it's not about them, it's about you know, and your other quotes as well. But so anyway, tell us about your next book or whatever you can talk about. Now you just have the one that came out. If you want to talk more about that, Healing.
Yeah, so that came out at
Healing
the end of
Kiss.
April. Yeah, Healing Kiss. Healing Kiss is a book that got shopped around to many publishers, went through acquisitions at several big publishers.
Oh, okay.
My agent was a little lukewarm about the book because she felt that she's more into the rom-com. So that's what I'm doing with the
Oh,
agent. That's what she signed.
yeah.
So, so that book, it won first place in two very large unpublished manuscript romance contest. It
Okay.
won first place in the Far Side contest, and it won first place in the Rudy contest. And so I knew it was ready for the light of day. It's just finding the right venue. And I decided to put that book out myself, which I did. So nice. I self-published that book, or Amanda Yule LLC self-published that book. And it's doing really, really well. It already has over 100 reviews, which as an indie author, that's really hard to achieve on
Fabulous.
And they're all 4 or 5 star reviews. I feel it is my best work to date, just because you just get better over time. So
wonderful.
So anyway, that book is a really kind of a fun story. It's all my books are set in Cleveland, so I'm from Cleveland. So it seemed to just make sense to set the books here, because why not? I know Cleveland pretty well.
Yes.
So anyway, I think I answered the question. What you said, right? Talk about that book and then what I'm working on. Correct.
Whatever you want to talk about, because sometimes you don't want to talk about what you're working on.
So, well, I had a very exciting thing happen as well this last week, and that is that another of my books, a novella called Dark Ways, it's part of the Mind Hacker series. So that's my debut novel was the first book in that series that was published with Wild Rose. And then I have 2 more books, Crosswaves and Dark Waves. Dark Ways, and I think I got the cover. That's the cover.
That's the one. Yes.
That book just finaled in the Holt Medallion contest. So it's a finalist in the novella category. And that is a contest that is judged by readers of published romantic.
Oh, congratulations.
So I am very excited about that. And it also, and I can't think of the other name of the contest. It also finaled in another contest called the Indie, I forget what it's called actually. So I enter a lot of contests. That's something I do as a writer, because it really helps me see where my work is at, see how, get feedback, and just make sure that I am kind of, keeping my game up basically, and really working hard to improve as a writer. So that was exciting. That just happened this last week.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. And then the other thing I wanted to mention is, as far as what I'm working on, I think that's a good question. I am working on a romantic comedy at the request of my agent. So my agent signed another manuscript that's a romantic comedy, but no one's bought it yet. It's being pitched, but no one's bought it. It's very Hallmark-esque, so I think that's kind of the market for it. And so I'm working on something else. I don't know if it would be Hallmark, but a very funny kind of romantic comedy set in Cleveland, called, the working title right now is Interview with Destiny. It might be called Fixing Destiny or Date with Destiny. I'm not really sure. But the main character, the heroine's name is Destiny, and she is a plant stylist. So she does a lot of contract work, and she was accused of stealing research from the company that she was contracting with and let go, and is desperate for work. And she applies at another big game in town, and that's a privately owned, there's a family that owns it, and the president of the company is going to interview her for the job. That's her final step. And he gets poison ivy, cannot come to the interview, and instead his older stepbrother shows up instead, and he's dressed in a clown suit. So it's really hard to describe this book. It's very zany. but I
I love
really am
it.
excited about it because it's just funny and there's a bit of a mystery involved too. So it's going to be a combination of romantic comedy with this edge of suspense, which is really different.
Oh,
So,
that's great. Well, at Christmas time, I also watch the movies on Lifetime Channel, which are also romantic, funny, but have a little more of an edge. So not that you're doing it as a screenplay, but I'm just saying, hey, who knows?
no, actually, it's interesting because my agent does want, that's what she's working on, is pitching Hallmark producers because
Oh,
Hallmark
okay.
has gone through some changes. So who
Oh, I
knows,
heard that.
with the
Yeah.
book world, you never know what could happen, right? That's the fun of
Yes.
it. So I'm
Yes.
just trying to enjoy the process of writing this story and the struggle, to get it all down on paper in a way that will make sense to everybody and be exciting and interesting and all of that.
Well, it sounds exciting and interesting already to me.
Thank you.
Well, Amanda, I want to thank you. That's our questions. And I just want to say, like you said, hang on, creativity takes courage and don't give up.
That's
Right?
good. That's a good way to end.
Yes. And for all our paranormal fans out there, well, first of all, be sure to check out, I want to make sure I get the name correctly, Healing Bliss by Amanda Yule.
Kiss. Healing kiss.
Oh my God, I'm sorry. Well, you know what? When they kiss, they're in bliss. So anyway,
There you go.
Healing Kiss. Healing Kiss by Amanda Yule. And that's UHL. And then they can also just look you up on Amazon to see all your other books.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm out there.
Exactly. So also for all our paranormal friends out there, may all your paranormal encounters be magical. So thanks again, Amanda.
Thanks for having me. It was a pleasure to meet you and get to talk to you as well.
Yes, you too. Okay, see you next time.
Good night.